guess we'll have to edit a little bit of that. Okay. And welcome back to the Have We Made It Yet podcast. My name is Josh Yang, the comedian Josh Yang.
Oh, and I'm Lucas Ng, the actor.
The actor. And we are back this week in our 21st episode. We're now hitting 2-1, and it's been pretty good so far. Just a quick catch up for our podcast. We always ask the question, have we made it yet? It's kind of that existential question a lot of artists starting out think about. Is like, what is making it really, even if you feel like you've made it, have you really made it? Is enough enough? Mm-hmm. So Lucas, have you made it yet?
Me? Am I a guest on my own podcast right now? No, I have not. But actually, I got some kind of cool news. Oh. I got my first COVID season audition 2 days ago.
Sick.
Yeah,
nice.
It was actually for a feature film. So it was just good to send a self-tape that my agent submitted me for a part. So we actually filmed it right behind me in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's the only white wall, and the acoustics are somewhat pretty good there. And it felt good to actually try out a part, get a good script, and see where the fates take me with this, because it feels good to be back in the game.
Yeah, and hopefully things get better. I mean, Toronto's just entering stage 2 this morning when we recorded this podcast. So now patios and some businesses are opening up. Hopefully bars and restaurants open up, and like the comedy scene can come back a little bit. Because I would definitely like to get back out there and not have to consider doing Zoom shows. But I haven't done a Zoom show because I don't want to do that. Right. So hopefully things are moving in the right direction. Seems good. Seems good progress.
Mr. Josh Yang, though, and your nice blue shirt that's popping.
Okay.
Have you made it yet?
I have not made it yet, but I guess the province of Ontario and the city of Toronto is now entering stage 2. So we're making it closer to me doing some things. So that's great. But no, today though, we have a pretty interesting guest, right, Lucas?
Oh, dude, this guy's, he reminds me of, say, like, the Asian Superman, because even in his name too, like, it's perfect. So with this next guest here, okay, I'll be honest, we haven't known each other for too long, but we did connect when him and I were asked to be on an actors panel through one of our previous guests, Annabelle Loy.
Ooh, it comes full circle.
Full circle, baby.
Full circle.
It was there that I first found out about his passion for acting and his insane workout regimens, which you can probably see on his Instagram, which we'll put in the links below and all that stuff.
Yeah.
His acting career has spanned multiple countries, from Pakistan to Chile to even Hong Kong and of course Canada here. He's most famous for his role as Jack in the indie feature John Applejack, or as Russell in the very funny show The Switch. It's really good. Everyone should check it out if you can find it. Most recently, he made a fantastic self-shot, self-directed, and edited short film while under quarantine. So you can find that on YouTube. He's incredibly talented, self-motivated, and an incredible actor. It's an honor to have him on this show, on our 21st episode here. So give it up for Mr. Kent Leung.
Hey. There it is.
What's up?
Whoa.
What is up?
What's up? I like the introductions.
I
know one of the other, I believe it was the singer, or was it the Disney girl? She was like, "Oh, thank you for such a nice introduction."
Oh,
I think as artists, we all love hearing about our accomplishments. Feels so nice.
I know, right? So on that note, with your many, many accomplishments there, Mr. Kent Leung, have you made it yet?
Hell no! I am in my parents' basement right now.
Classic.
This is the room I spent my university years in. And it feels weird to be back here for such a long time, living with my parents, who I love. If you're watching, thank you, Dad and Mom, for your hospitality. But that being said, disclaimer, being as old as I am, just don't belong living with your parents for this long anymore, in my opinion.
That's the grind. That's the grind.
That's the grind. Yeah. So no, I do not believe I've made it. I think as as most actors and artists, we have very lofty goals.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are completely unrealistic. But of the ones that are probably more realistic, I still don't believe that I've made it. But if I told myself when I first like talked to the version of myself, like 8 years ago when I first started acting, that
Hmm.
I would have accomplished some of the things that you just listed off, I would have been like, damn man, like that's pretty damn good. Like, I can't wait there, But now that I'm there, I'm just like, man, still not good enough. Still not good enough.
I
So
hear you.
yeah, that's my answer, man.
So, and on topic about those goals and everything like that, what were your goals going into acting when you first started out?
Um, you know, I think we all have that Oscar goal, whether we want to
Mm-hmm.
admit it or not.
Mhm.
But like I think the whole Oscars goal in itself is something that as you become more of a mature and veteran actor, you realize that whether you get that or not, it doesn't mean whether you're a good actor or not.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
If anything, it's just like the easiest goal to choose that would just 100% validate your career. You know what I mean? But that
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
said, there are so many other things that you could do that 100% validate your career. Like, for example, if you ever made your own film that got into the theaters, like that in itself is huge,
Mhm.
and obviously you want it to do well, but even if it doesn't do well, like that's a huge, like 99% of the people that set out to do this never even get there, so
Hmm.
um I think I would love to just be on that stage
Yeah.
and have the opportunity to break down emotionally and just like thank people and make a big fool of myself.
Yeah.
But that being said, like now that I'm becoming more mature, um I yeah, if I don't make it, if I don't win the Oscars,
Mhm.
I'll be like, dude, that's totally okay because it's there's other things. There's other things that you could do and that you will do that will mean just as much. Or if you don't realize it means just as much, you should
Mm.
make it mean just as much. Because anyways, that's I love
Yeah.
it.
No, I definitely agree. I remember growing up as a kid, kind of like thinking I wanted to win a Oscar for Best Director or something, but like not having any concept of what that even actually meant. But like thinking you see it every year, you see that's the top of the top, and you think
Mhm.
like I want to be recognized for being the top of the top. But then you start realizing like even things like the Oscars, it's like it's so outside of your control. You need so much resources behind your like your production or your studio to actually push for you. It's rarely a situation where it's like off of pure talent,
For sure. It's
you
so
know.
political too.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So sometimes it's like you don't even know what really will lead you. So that kind of goal is like is something you see, but once you get down to it, it's like it's so hard to even quantify how your dreams should match up to something that is hard to quantify.
totally. I
Exactly.
feel like I feel like for me, since I told myself, oh, that's my goal, it's just become this target
Mm,
that I want to accomplish because I've said it, because
Mhm.
I've told people, because I've made that commitment to in my mind. But it's like it becomes this ego thing. It's like, oh, I said I do, I'm gonna do
Ah,
it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's like, dude, just get over yourself. Like, just focus on that direction, and whether you get there or not, like, I don't know, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied as long as I do things that influence the world for better.
mhm.
Mm,
I think that's the most important thing. So.
Yeah. So, like, even before the ego set in about like accomplishing your goals just for the sake of accomplishing them, from the very beginning, though, what kind of hobbies or crafts did you have that steered you into wanting to go into acting?
So, my development and pathway that brought me here is how do I say this? I think it started from a very young age, but it didn't like it evolved in so many different phases.
Mm.
Um, so when I was young, I was rather chubby, and I was made
mm,
fun of in high school.
Mm.
So I graduated from high school extremely insecure, trying to overcompensate in every possible way, and just was like a really broken kid, you know. I think, and I'm not saying that I'm like special. Like I think we all come out of high school kind of fucked up. But so with that, with that unhappiness of who I was, I moved up to university, and I decided that I was going to completely drop all my high school friends, except for like one or two,
Wow.
Whoa.
because I just didn't like who I was in their eyes.
Whoa.
And I was like, I cannot change myself if they keep on looking at me as that loser or that fat kid. You know? But not, I've gotten over being angry at them. Everyone in high school, again, like they probably had their own insecurities and that's why they probably picked on me or whatever. So I get it. Like I'm not even holding grudges at this point. And I actually thank them. But yeah, so I move into, get to university, and I decided I want to study psychology. And a reason why I took such an interest to psychology was, and I think why everyone actually likes psychology, is that you learn about yourself. You learn about why are you the way you are. And coming from my background, I was like, why am I insecure? Why am I, unhappy with myself? And how can I change this? You know, so me studying psychology became this, like, in a sense, self therapy session, you know. So I use a lot of the stuff I learned from school to kind of start treating myself, but also at that same time I was kind of redefining and rebranding myself as a person, making brand new friends, trying to act confident and smarter, and just like trying to leave that persona of high school behind. And for the most part, it was working really well, and I made cool friends that they themselves probably kind of had a similar situation. I think, again, going back to it, I think a lot of people leave high school wanting to grow up and change and be better. So I met people with a similar energy that didn't judge me for who I used to be or anything. And I went down this path and really started to kind of figure my shit out. But the thing that really kind of pushed me, especially into the direction of the entertainment industry, was it was first year university. So there's this, so UBC, I went to UBC. There's this collegiate club called CVC, Chinese Varsity Club.
Oh, CVC. For a second there,
CVC.
I was thinking of like a CDC and SFU. I don't know if you're continuing.
So they're like they occasionally have events that and the SFU clan and the UBC one, they kind of they know each other and shit. So the CVC was like the CBC kids group. So the westernized Asian kids, and they were like, in my eyes, like, oh man, these kids are so cool. Like I want to be in with them, And at the end of every year, they have a fashion show.
Cool.
And so they have like normal fashion, like with clothes, and they have like topless dudes with like in like not speedos, but they had like boxer shorts. So they had like a underwear swimwear section.
Right.
Yeah. And I was in the crowd, and I remember when like those jack guys walked out, every girl in that room just went, ah! like they were Justin Bieber or something.
Yeah.
I was just like, what is going on? Like, what is this magic that these men have over these women? Magic. And I was like, I am gonna be that guy.
Nice.
That is gonna be me, So the next year, I didn't. So next year, I auditioned for I tried out for the show. I wasn't jacked yet. I was still kind of like working my way there, but I got into the show as like a normal model, so I didn't take my clothes off or anything. But at that point, I started getting attention from girls, and then my whole self-perception was starting to really change. I was like, "Oh yeah, I think you're actually like attractive." I was like, "Whoa!" Like I could really like. Then I started getting super cocky.
So you overcorrected.
Overcorrected. Like if I had a time machine, I went back in the past, I'd be like, "Dude, you're a douchebag," right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, in hindsight, I needed all that to develop, and obviously, I'm like over 10 years since then, right? But yeah, so that show, I didn't do the topless thing, but like the next year, I worked out like a motherfucker, and I can swear, right? Because
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then I worked out like hell, and then I tried for the show, and I got into like the swimsuit underwear models, and I was like, yes, and did the show, and walked out there, felt like a fucking like a superhero model guy, and like all the girls like screaming. And I remember, so immediately after the show, when all the models like come out from the back, so this was at like a massive club or big club in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So we walk out, and immediately a friend of a friend was like, "Hey, Kent, come here. I want to introduce you to this girl." I was like, "Oh, yes." And they're like, "Oh, this is that guy from the show." And immediately the girl's like, "Oh, what's up?" Immediately. And I was like, "I'm running with this right now." And then so that night, me and this girl like dance and stuff. And like, it was like, I immediately reaped the rewards. Like, I felt like a superstar. I felt like a celebrity that night. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so addicted to this feeling now." And but yeah, so that was like the first instance that like I felt that immediate reward of putting that energy into myself,
Mm.
developing myself, changing myself. And although it is extremely superficial, the experience that I had, mind you, like being a 20-something-year-old, like that's kind of all we cared about to some degree, right? But yeah, I just got that immediate reward, and I was like, okay, like this is like the new me kind of thing. So
Mm.
I actually ended up modeling for that show for 4 years in a row, and I
Damn.
kind of had that. I had that status as like the CBC fashion show guy, and I was like, yeah, super proud and whatever. And then I ended up hosting their shows, that show and another competing club show as well. Um, but yeah, and okay, so during that time, there's this guy named Kevin Lee who
Mhm.
worked for Global BC at the time,
Mhm.
and
Mm.
he was in the media, and he wanted to like he promotes Asian content and Asian
Mm.
culture and stuff like this. So he actually went to I believe it was a second year show, and he interviewed a lot of us in the back. And so he
Mhm.
interviewed me for the segment on the show that he was developing.
Mhm.
And he actually asked me, he was like, "Hey, we're actually going to be looking for a host for this show sometime this summer. If you want to come audition, let me know." And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Nice. Mhm.
So way down the road, he sent me an email. He's like, "Hey, we're holding auditions for this. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Sure." And at this point, I haven't done any acting,
Right.
just like extremely amateur modeling. Like
Mm.
these shows, you don't need any really like they kind of train you, but it's a popularity contest. You just want to go out there and
Yeah.
look good, whatever.
Yeah.
But so he asked me to go audition for this thing.
Uh-huh.
Audition for it, and I didn't really expect that again because when I was doing it, I think I was super nervous and I had no training like public speaking or anything like this.
Mhm.
Mm.
But I ended up getting it, and the show was on, I believe it was City TV,
Hmm.
and it was on like the worst time slot possible. It was like Sunday nights at 11, and it was called Asian Lifestyles TV.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
But I was like on TV. I was like on TV before, I guess before. Well, I guess the internet was a thing, but it wasn't like what it is now. Like the opportunities of YouTube and stuff weren't as big as it is now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I was on the show and I was only hosting, and they had other actors doing skits and stuff like this. So I was hosting this, and after I finished that run, I was like, you know what? So like at this point in my life, um, I learned a lot of what I needed to learn as a model. I
Mhm.
got over my insecurities. I
Mm.
knew that I knew my worth. I knew that I was attractive without needing to advertise I was attractive. Like I'm just becoming a grounded, normal human being. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to model because honestly, it's really boring. And at this point, I was studying, like, again, studying psychology, and I was understanding more about human nature. And I was like, I want to do more with this information,
Mhm.
as
Mm.
opposed to just like looking good. Um, so I hosted this thing, and I was like, okay, I have some experience on a show, and I want to get into acting, but I don't really know where to go. So I asked a
Mhm.
friend who was a girl named Carolyn Chan, who is still an actor here in Vancouver.
Mhm.
And so she kind of gave me some advice on what to do. And I wrote up a cover letter, had a really shitty headshot, and I mailed it out to like 10 of the agencies here in Vancouver.
Mhm.
I got responses from two of them. One of them rejected me once she knew that I actually had a full-time job at the time. And she was
Mm.
like, "No, I need a
Oh.
full-time actor." I was like, "Whatever." And the other one, uh, Dorothy Shermanska from Collingwood, she decided to roll the dice on me, thank
Nice.
God. And yeah, so then I signed my first agent at that point.
Uh-huh.
And she, referred me to acting class, started taking acting classes,
Yeah.
and kind of that was kind of, yeah, that's kind of how I started, you know.
So on that, like right now, you're on one of, I would say, actually the biggest talent agency in Canada right now. You're with Characters right now, right?
Right.
Yeah, which is amazing. They have a roster that's like none other within Canadian entertainment and everything like that. But with having that kind of agency backing you, you're an international. Oh, sorry, you're an international actor with experiences in Chile and also in Hong Kong again too. How are those experiences working abroad within the film industries there? Because I'm sure the Chile experiences, as opposed to Vancouver experiences, are completely different.
Mm.
So a lot of my experiences around the world, especially in the more exotic places, were for commercial shoots, which
Mm.
I'm like super happy and blessed to have those opportunities.
Mhm.
Um, in regards to my international travels and it connecting back to characters, honestly, and I don't want this to kind of like bite me back in the ass, but I think a lot of the agencies here in the last few years, it took time for them to understand or even just like accept the fact that China has a massive influence
Mm.
over the industry, and
Yeah.
to actually accept it without holding resentment
Mm.
and being upset about it. Because, for example, like we're Asians, we
Mhm.
ultimately support China's film industry growing because in the end it does help us to some degree. But I think as a Caucasian person or someone that is of not Asian,
Mhm.
they might see it as a threat. So I think a
Mm.
lot of the agents at the time didn't understand how big of a deal China was becoming and how much of an opportunity is actually there.
Yeah.
Right.
Mind you, it's never as clear cut as what I hoped. I don't believe that I went to China and checked every box that I set out to check. It
Mhm.
has definitely been marred with a lot of ups and downs. But I yeah, my agent at Characters, like although like I love him, he's a great guy. Me and him are friends, I would say. Um, but at the same time, I felt that he never truly understood a lot of the opportunities I had, and maybe
Mhm.
that's on me for not communicating enough of it clearly. And obviously, like if you're an actor that's signed with the agency here and
Mhm.
you move
Mm.
to a different country where they don't understand their industry at all. They can't even
Right.
speak the same language. They don't like even if they want to do to go through a contract, like it's a
Uh-huh.
huge headache. You need to translate things and they can't even talk, so you need a middle person. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's it's such a different world for a lot of the people here
Uh-huh.
Mm.
that I think it's when you're uncertain something, you're naturally just kind of not I don't know if it's you're afraid of it, but you're just not going to be as interested. So that definitely existed in my relationship with my agent. Um,
Interesting.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have any experience in this because I'm doing stand-up comedy, and like the whole agent thing is way down the road, even if it's something that is a potential option. But for you guys as actors, agents like represent you. And
Mhm.
since Kent, you did bring up an interesting point where it seems like maybe the Canadian industry isn't as in tune with like China's market, China's opportunities. Have you guys come across a lot of like Asian agents or like Asian execs like within the agencies? Like, is there
Here
that
or over there?
here? So, like in that sense, is like if there's a Asian agent who like is within the agency's structure, like,
Mm.
do you feel like there's even a voice there? Have you come across any?
So I believe that agencies here they actually should invest in that. They should have a
Mm,
consultant. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mhm.
right.
Someone that understands the language, someone that consumes Chinese media, um, and at best has relationships with producers and directors and companies in China. I think that would be extremely beneficial. And like essentially they need to provide the bridge, you
Mm,
know,
Mhm.
and if especially only if you actually want to tap into that market. But if you don't want to, then I think that's just being ignorant or naive, like
Yeah.
it is an opportunity, but obviously you need to invest
yeah.
something to tap into it. But that being said, so in Canada there is an agency called Echelon.
Mm.
Lucas,
Mm,
I don't know if you heard of them. So
Oh no,
they
please.
they so they're more of a management company. but they have some of the biggest and most successful Asian talent in, I guess, English-speaking Asian talent.
Oh,
Mm.
cool.
For example, my friend Ludi Lin, Osric Chow, some
Oh,
of these
yeah.
bigger name. I believe Maggie Q was even with them for a period of time. This
Oh,
is like
cool.
ancient history now, maybe like 10 years before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Echelon has a lot of high-profile clients, and they try to sign exclusively Asian talent, but not necessarily for China. They were doing this for North America and for Hollywood. But that being said, they are smart enough to also make sure that they have some kind of presence, especially for their talent in China. But so I've been fortunate enough that there's this guy named Scott Erickson who runs the Asians on Film Festival in LA, and he also started his own agency called Asian Cinema Entertainment. And so he's also a management company. And so the funny story with him, so I signed with him, but I'll get there. So funny story with him was back many years ago. Me and my friend Milton, we shot YouTube videos, and we submitted this film, Dim Sum Noodle, into their Asians on Film Festival, and it got in, and it actually won best comedy action short film or something.
Nice, congrats.
But the funny thing is, like, me and Milton never checked our email, so we didn't know, and the festival came and went, and we discovered this like half a year down the road.
Wow.
We straight up no showed. Like, I'm sure they're like, hey, you guys gotta come down. Your film's in the festival. You gotta come down. We just, and then after that, eventually we probably contacted Scott and well, Milton was, because I wasn't dealing with this kind of stuff at the time. And then way later down the road, before I kind of like, I guess I found their Instagram. I found the Instagram account for Asian Cinema Entertainment, and I was seeing that he was posting about successful Asian actors and filmmakers in North America. So I sent him at this point, I already shot my Pakistani film. I was like, hey, Scott, I just shot a movie in Pakistan, and I flew in some, I added some like things to make me sound good, and I was like, yeah, it'd be great if you did a little piece on me, like support, and he no showed me. He didn't respond to me for like half a year. And I was like, fuck this guy, And then way later, he messages like, oh, sorry, I'm just extremely busy, but do you want to chat? And I was like, it's been so long that I'm like, I don't really understand what do you want to chat about. I was like, sure, let's talk. So it turns out at this point, I didn't realize that he actually started a management company. Cool. And he was like, oh, I would be interested in working with you if you want to work with me. I was like, okay. So I went through, I asked some friends, like Osric Chow knows him. I was like, Osric, what do you think about him? And then everyone gave me positive responses. Also, the biggest thing is like, I didn't have a manager in the States at all. So I wasn't losing anything really. But that being said, Scott, I love you. Thank you for your help. But yeah, so I signed with Scott, and Scott's company, or Scott's management company, is purely Asian. So not just Chinese, like any kind of Asian, Southeast Asian, Koreans, Japanese, whatever. And he has some other high-profile people on his roster as well. But he's still trying to get, he's trying to still make his way up. Still a smaller management company, and but he's like in LA, really trying to push Asians in his roster for a lot of the projects that we see nowadays. So, but yeah, long-winded answer. I have been fortunate enough to be able to sign with a management company in the States that specifically works with Asians.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you always want your managers and agents working for you, because it's never like a one-person team. But in filmmaking, of course, it's a self-motivating industry. If you don't push yourself in doing so, you're not going to get anywhere. You've been a writer, you've been a producer, you've also directed yourself and also acted in your own short films. Is there one aspect of filmmaking that you absolutely detest?
Being an AD.
Ooh.
Okay, cool.
I did it once when I was working with Milton. We had so we shot a Halloween video, like Halloween special video.
Yeah.
And we thought it would be a good idea if we just invited all of our friends,
Oh man.
threw a Halloween party, and then tried to film during. And we allowed people to drink.
Oh fuck.
But obviously we had scenes where we need to record dialogue. Dressed in Halloween outfits, drinking. Like, it's a fucking party. And my job is to tell everyone to shut up so we can get a shot. And like, in hindsight, I was an asshole. Like, I didn't do a good job. I was so frustrated, and I let it show. And it was just like so unprofessional of me.
Right.
I look back at it and I'm just like, dude, you did a horrible job. But that being said, I hated that. Like, when you tell people to shut up and stuff, I was just like, I don't want, like, this isn't me, but I never have any dreams of being an AD. Like, that came out of necessity at the time. I'm not a huge fan of, like, I guess producing in general. It's necessary sometimes, but if I had to choose between obviously directing or acting or producing, I would prefer to do something with the creative aspect involved. Producing for me is just really work, and it can be extremely satisfying when you find the right people and you're on set and everyone's like working synergistically.
Yeah.
Like, in the actual process of doing it, it's essentially just work. So I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it all too much either.
I hear you, man.
Like everything else, directing I like. I actually really enjoy editing. I think.
Oh.
Yeah. I like, it's the thing that I dislike about editing the most is watching all your footage.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that part. So I get lazy sometimes. I'm like, when I'm shooting though, I'm just like, I need the best take. But then when I'm editing, I'm like, I don't want to look at this shit. So I'm just like, this one, and then I just choose one. And I might not even necessarily watch them all, which is stupid. But usually at the very end, when I'm like when I've watched it so many times, like, okay, this performance clearly doesn't work, then I'll go back and try to find something that doesn't at least stick out so much, or find one that looks better. But yeah, I enjoy a lot of the creative aspects of filmmaking.
Interesting. Like, I've heard that before with a lot of actors, a lot of great actors as well. They like doing the work, and then they just cannot watch themselves. Like Adam Driver a couple months ago had a really kind of blew up little interview saying like he does not watch any of his stuff after he does it. Like, how do you guys feel about like watching the finished product? Like, I know when it comes to editing, it's like, oh, you see all the mistakes and stuff, but when it comes to the finished product, like, how do you feel seeing yourself up there?
Well, okay, so I've a very distinct point of view in regards to watching yourself. If you're at a place in your career where you can learn from it, watch yourself. Get over yourself and watch yourself.
Yeah.
I have this one of the things that I live by is like, don't get in your own way. There are enough obstacles in life that you do not need to become one of them. And a lot of actors, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of actors, they don't watch themselves because it makes them feel bad. I'm self-critical. I'm judgmental of myself. That is your own issue, man. Get over that. Watch it with a critical eye. Learn from it, because that will help you, and then move forward. So if for actors that don't like watch themselves because it feels gross, man, just get over yourself. Just learn. Like, just yeah. You don't need more obstacles. Like, life as an actor is hard enough. Don't need to add more. So.
Especially starting out, yeah.
Yeah. To Ken's point, though, too, now that everything will be self-tapes and everything like that, and all acting classes are over Zoom, by default, if you have a Zoom session going on and you're acting in an acting class, you will be seeing yourself, maybe just in the periphery or from below you. But you just have to get over the fact that you just can't be in your head too much about this stuff. It's out there. You as a performer need to perform, and you just got to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think something that I've run into, the more I like, even with self tapes, especially when you don't have an actor in the room, you have someone on a laptop or a phone voicing it. It's really harder. It's much harder to get connected, and I'm sure you've experienced this. But you start editing or directing while you're acting, which
Yeah.
really fucks you up.
Exactly.
And that's so that is this obstacle that we've all are encountering more. But
Mhm.
but by overcoming that, that's actually going to help us when we actually have an actor to work with.
Yeah.
I've noticed though that especially when I'm filming and I'm also acting in it, it's really hard to just act because I'm like, oh wait, should I be doing this, or like I'm just like editing myself as I'm performing, which is
I
horrible.
know.
Or like I'm performing and I know I said one line that's wrong or a way that I don't want it, and then I just immediately in my brain I'm like, can't just stop because you're not going to use this anyway. But
Yeah.
obviously that's like one of the cardinal sins as a performer, that you can't do that, right? So yeah, this definitely takes practice.
No, for sure, man. Okay, let's go with this one. You briefly touched upon it at the very beginning of this whole session here, but
Mhm.
man, okay, with that, what keeps you continue working out? Do you think all performers and all actors should also play not only into the mind but also into the body? And has working out benefited you as an actor?
100%. Um, I honestly have a bit of a sick disdain for fat, like whether it's on myself or even like other people's. Like if it's on other people, like obviously I'm accepting, but I just I don't know. I like for myself anyway. When I get a little bit fat, I get really really unhappy with myself. Like for
Hmm.
example, and I'm not saying that this is healthy, like, but I think the people that do stay in shape year round, and
Yeah.
I'm not even the king of this. Like by no means am I. I just like feeling and looking a certain way. But there are people that are way better at this. But the people that do maintain that level of shape year round, I think I want to say use the word broken, but they have something in their head that they cannot stand if they let it go that other way,
Right.
and I definitely have some of that for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, like even today I was thinking about this because like so right now I'm starting to every morning, well, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm meeting up with a friend to learn kung fu.
Okay.
Get up in the morning, meet him at the park, do kung fu for an hour and a half. So I fast, which is very common nowadays,
Yeah.
and I did the kung fu thing. After that, me and him we do some Mandarin. But even though I did the kung fu thing and it counts as exercise, I need my workout because like if I don't do some kind of weight training or body weight training, I know that I've already lost a lot of muscle mass as a result of the no gym thing.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
I'm just like petrified of like losing more. So even though I'm like
Right.
tired or I have other things I want to do, I'm like, Ken, you got to work out today. So today, kung fu, Mandarin, got home, and then I worked out another hour, ran another few K. And I was like, dude, man, like, are you gonna do this every single day that you have kung fu? Because essentially you're spending over 2+ hours, doing both. And
Uh-huh.
like, although I love the rewards of it, it's very impactful in the sense of like, I know it sounds so not petty, but it takes a lot of time. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
imagine this as your day, right? Imagine like every day you also want to shoot a video, whether it's TikTok, whether it's like some acting thing.
Uh-huh.
This is gonna sound super petty, but like imagine you work out in the morning and you got to shower midday,
Uh-huh.
and then you do your hair, right? Or you get ready for it, and then
Right.
you shoot your thing in the afternoon or nighttime, but then
Uh-huh.
you gotta take another shower because you did put your shit in your hair. I'm like, am I gonna take 2 showers every day now? Because
Mhm.
I want to live this lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like in the short term, like once or couple times a day, a week, or like whatever. But like you do this every day, you're just like, man, I'm spending so much time just like taking showers, even getting dressed, getting into workout mode, into shooting mode, and
Yeah.
Right.
and I'm still trying to like plan my day so it's more streamlined.
Oh,
That
okay.
Mm.
I remove some of this inefficient time in between.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So have a couple of
So do you find that that's kind of more career driven? You want to always maintain your performing at your peak condition, where it's like, you know what, I got to be ready in case the opportunity is there. I got to make sure I'm doing the work, putting in the work every day as like part of the routine. Or do you feel like it is more like an internal driven type of emotional thing? It's like maybe it's something where like you mentioned, like you were coming out of high school, you were, I guess, a little chubby, and like that was a period of time that you wanted to completely disassociate with. So like now it's kind of like a thing where it's like maybe if it's a little bit of like fat, it's like, oh no, like am I gonna go to back to that period of time where it's like I don't want to be that person anymore? So you push yourself. Do you think there's
I
like
think I've definitely developed and grown enough as a person that I'm not afraid that I'll ever become that person
okay,
because it's been so long and over the last, especially the last few years, traveling so much, going on vacation with my girlfriend,
yeah,
being back here without a gym, I've
Mhm.
proven to myself that I will find a way to exercise, and I
nice,
know that's a fact. I think it's honestly a lot of vanity, man. Like I like having abs all the
yeah,
time. I just want to, like, even though it's completely dumb and unrealistic, like I just want to be prepared to take my shirt off in any situation and look
yeah,
okay, look solid. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does, right? Because you put yourself out there as that guy, right?
yeah,
Some of my friends are like, "Oh yeah, Ken's in shape," blah blah, and then you don't know if some night you're out drinking with your buddies and there's some girl, whatever, just like, "Ken, show her your abs, like touch this guy's abs," you know what I mean? You just got to be like, "Oh, I'm ready. Been waiting
yeah,
2 weeks for this one," and
yeah,
I guess this is where, like, now that I say this, I sound insane. Like, who does this? You know what I mean? Who is thinking like every single day? Oh, is that person going to ask me to take my shirt off?
yeah.
Um,
I think,
no,
hey, I think everybody, once they've gotten a taste, like, oh, I completely agree with you. Like, I'm in
Uh-huh.
the middling right now. I got a little chub in there, but then like if I do abs for a little bit and I start to see a little definition, I'm like, oh, I'm the shit or whatever. But it's like, hey, I feel like even though like it's not great to say it's like, oh, vanity, I'm very vain, but nah, if you have a taste of it, it's like you feel it, you like it. It's like it's so much harder to get back to it if you do let it go.
totally, totally.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so
Like
I totally get it.
once you
Yeah,
have it, you do not want to let it go. Like,
yeah,
and that's why when the gyms shut down, like I was afraid and anxious and just frustrated. Like even like today, doing my workout, I'm
yeah,
just like, I am so sick of push-ups right now. Like, swear to God, one more push-up, I'm
Yeah.
gonna fucking punch the wall.
yeah,
Um, but like it's when you have this thing, it just makes you happy. And like I fully admit that I'm vain. And
mm,
the reason why I don't mind saying that is because what I do and how I appreciate myself, how does that affect anybody else? I'm not going
mm,
to the gym and by going to the gym hurting anyone else. I'm not staying lean and somehow insulting someone else at the same time. So I make sure that, like, I think being vain or being self-absorbed in that aspect of yourself is 100% positive. It's the people that are vain but also insecure at the same time that
mm,
need the
Interesting.
validation all the time. That
Right, right.
that like I'm so absorbed with myself, and it's not even just like my attention on myself. I need other people's attention, or I need to belittle other people so that I feel like I'm on top.
Right.
Then that vanity has gone the wrong way. So I
mm,
think um, insecurities, right? What you do as a result of that insecurity
Uh-huh.
is what defines you as that person. Whether you're insecure about that isn't a problem, right?
Mhm.
Whether you're vain isn't a problem, but it's like, what do you do because you're vain, right? Do you
mm,
ignore your friends that are also attractive just because you want that attention, whatever? I make sure that even though I know that I'm vain, I compliment my friends. I boost up other people according to their appearance as well because I'm not insecure in that way, or if I am insecure, I deal with it myself and I don't make it a negative thing to the outside world.
right.
Okay. Almost to wrap it up here. Let's go with these last two. These next two will just be like take however much time you want with these questions and everything like that.
I pretty much have been, but thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So first off, like, what has this quarantine taught you about yourself?
Okay. So just the other day, I posted an Instagram, and back in China for like the last year, I realized that I think I live day to day with a lot of anxiety,
Mm,
Mm,
um, and in a way that obviously I wasn't very happy about it. But I also it was so I realized I had this like skewed acceptance of anxiety in my life,
Mhm.
where if I was anxious about all the things I had to do and then I did them, I felt productive because I was so anxious about it before. And then I also would use that anxiety as a means to motivate myself.
Mhm.
And so this quarantine period, um, I've kind of purposely relaxed a little. But as a result of that, I've still gotten things done. And when I get things done, sometimes without that anxiety, I don't necessarily feel like I've been productive.
Mm.
And then when I don't feel productive, I then start judging or start analyzing myself for, should you be doing more?
Mhm.
And then when I
Mm.
when I start asking that question, then I feel the anxiety, and then I'm like, oh, I should do more things. So I would, but then I actually think of the things that I have been doing, and I'm like, you've still done a good amount. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
if I added anxiety but did 10% more,
Uh-huh.
is it worth it?
Right. Right.
I'm happy
Mm.
now. I operate at 9% capacity, let's say,
Yeah.
but I'm happy. I'm for the most part not that anxious. My anxiety level's at like a 40. But like let's say I ramp that up to like 70 and I like make a list of like I go full on The Rock or Mark Wahlberg, wake up at fucking 5 a.m. or tell myself I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and do all this crazy shit and like segment my day down to every half an hour. Like I'll be so full of anxiety. Maybe I'll get more done, but like would I burn out then?
True.
You
Okay.
know what I mean?
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
it's, the whole flow state argument, I'm trying. I've been really experimenting with whether I can still be disciplined to a degree without necessarily needing to drill myself to be that way.
Mhm.
You know,
Mm.
um, I haven't really figured out the answer because sometimes I still feel like I'm not productive enough. Um,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think I think this time, like this quarantine,
Yeah.
pandemic time, it's really kind of not and not just for me. I'm sure it's messed up with a lot of people. It's just like you don't know where to put things, where to put things to be important. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like my
yeah.
previous goals, do they still apply right now,
Mhm.
or should I really spend this time to spend more time with my family?
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
I'm with my family, should I not feel guilty that I'm not doing work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I've been like, but then I spend time with them and like I'm chill, having fun, watching movies with my parents or whatever. But then that voice at the back, and right before I sleep, like, Kent, you didn't do this, you didn't study Chinese, blah blah. Just like, oh, like, what is it? Like, do I do that? But then if I do that, I'm not going to be as pleasant with my family.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to be as present with my family.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, I don't know, just trying to figure out like what am I supposed to be doing
Yeah.
right now?
Cool.
Oh
Awesome.
man.
I don't know. How about you guys? Maybe like what like with this specific topic, like how are you guys attacking this?
I'm trying to distract myself a lot more,
Mm.
and I don't think it's an unhealthy distraction, but I think it's just I need to maintain some semblance of normality. Otherwise, if I just stay in and watch Netflix all the time, if anything, my whole mental state will be down and out.
Right.
Mm.
So I mean, again, many people have heard this on previous episodes, but like I am working at a grocery store right now, so that's 5 days out of the week I'm out of the place. So that at least helps me see other people outside of me and my partner who we live together with.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
that's a
for
normal
me,
scenario.
yeah. For me, it's since comedy is like doing live comedy is like the only way really you can test and develop material.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like keeping busy doing other types of things like this podcast. I created a second podcast as well.
Yeah.
And like when it comes to, I guess on the creative side, I've considered like considering writing more in terms
Hmm.
of potential spec script ideas I have in the future. Like for you, like working out and preparing yourself, like in the future when you get the opportunity as a comedian and you suddenly get maybe Just for Laughs and like an agent is like, oh, maybe we want to work with you, or like a network or a studio. It's like at that moment you have to be ready. You have to have a couple ideas for TV
Yeah.
shows there that you could show right away so that you can capture that opportunity, because like things come and go. Like you're in the spotlight for a second, and then if you don't capitalize on it, it's gone. There's your shots. That's
Yeah.
pretty much how it is sometimes. So like I'm
Hmm.
looking more into like reading more, writing more, getting into that element on the creative side. um and yeah, like the more I think about it, the more I'm like realizing the type of, especially for roles for like Asian actors, is like you can always kind of hope there's a role out there for you, but in the end, like it comes down to other Asian creators creating the roles, because like who's gonna go out of their way really to write roles for us if it's not other Asian creators? So I've
Yeah.
been wrapping my head around that a bit more. And yeah, but I guess like on that kind of similar topic, like this for you, like working out, you do have this image Asian Superman, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it's there with the Kent, Clark
I
Kent.
know.
That's there it is. That makes sense.
So
Um,
if I might add,
yeah.
the other day, so okay, when I meet people and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Kent," they're like, "What?" I was like, "Kent, like Superman's last name, Clark Kent," you know. So the funny thing is, the other week I met another Kent, and he was
Ooh.
10, 15 years older than me, and he had like a kid that was like 20 and stuff. And when I met him, he did the exact same joke. He was like, "Yeah, like Superman's," and I was like, has that joke been going around so long that I've like
Oh
adopted it?
man.
Because like I'm a younger generation,
Yeah.
and I was like, huh, that's what I sound like, huh?
I mean, it's
Mm.
there. It's like sometimes, hey, comedians as well. It's like you go for the immediate connection that the most people will get. So that's always
Yeah,
like an icebreaker role. But
yeah,
like I did notice you did have some pretty interesting roles as like romantic leads in some films as well, especially the one you did like in Pakistan. That was like one that really kind of surprised me a bit, because it was a Pakistani film, and then yet they did choose someone of like Asian descent as their romantic lead, sorry, opposite the lead there.
yeah, yeah,
And that's something where it's like, in this whole thing about Asian masculinity in the Western view, you need to do a lot to put yourself out there trying to change that viewpoint, that mentality. I am interested to ask you, like, what was your experience like in that specific setting where it's like, oh, you're in a Pakistani, media and the Pakistani culture, and then suddenly you're put in there as the romantic interest. I really want to pick your brain on that.
So first off, Pakistan loves China,
Yeah.
and it's not like I'm a romantic lead in a film in North America where everyone's predominantly Caucasian.
Mm,
Um, I think even for them, it was new and interesting on so many levels that wasn't even the one thing that was sticking out. Like
really?
the fact that they had so okay. I am the first Chinese actor ever in Pakistani film industry history, let alone
Oh
a
shit.
lead actor.
Yeah.
Which is something that I really, really wish that my parents would just be like, "Kent, you could like you validated your existence as an actor just with that."
There
My
you go.
parents don't see it that way. I tell myself I see it. I do. Honestly, I'm super proud of myself. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of myself that I have that title. I'm like, dude, you made history, man. Cool. But being like the romantic lead, you know, so okay, first off, the film. So Pakistani films do not have much overly sexual content. They
Right.
can play Hollywood films with sexual content, but they do not make their own movies with sexual content. So when I got the role, I asked them. I'm like, what should I expect in regards to my relationship with the other actress or the other character? Like, um, do I is there a kissing scene?
Mm,
Do I need to take my shirt off? So I need to prepare.
yeah.
And they're like, no. So at the most, you might hug her. I was like,
Oh,
I think I can
interesting.
handle that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you will not be topless. I was like, okay, good to know. So with that being said, even though I'm the romantic lead, and obviously, in the movie we're falling in love and all this kind of stuff, there isn't that many overtly gushy romantic scenes, you know.
Mm,
And and even my character, even though I am the romantic lead, I actually kind of won her over by being not so overly aggressive, right? And for example, so my character is Muslim because that was one part of the
yeah.
film that they realized that the audience wouldn't accept. Like being Asian, fine, but that guy better be Muslim, at least
Yeah.
religiously. So I was Muslim, and I think part of my character being Muslim was that I was very unaggressive. So even though
Mm.
at one point I was being picked on, my character never really fights back, and I think that's that's one of the reasons why she actually kind of falls for him, because he's actually kind of not like a typical macho dude.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if I've answered your question, but and I've also so before that I played the romantic lead in John Applejack
Right.
with a white guy, and I I feel extremely blessed anytime that I can play a romantic role, because essentially the viewers that watch romance movies, they imagine being one of the two people, right?
Yep.
Usually the guys, I'm the guy, or girl, I'm the girl, John Bojack, if you're Asian, you're probably thinking me. If you're a white guy, you're probably thinking him, but it's a blessing that people would even want to use me as that person,
Hmm.
to know that the audience wants to associate and step into my shoes,
Right.
Awesome. I don't know if I
That's
answered your question.
yeah. No, I mean, like in terms of just my kind of naivete and like not knowing exactly how the Pakistani viewing public would view having an Asian character in there. Like you definitely explained that really well, and I think it's very important. Like you mentioned, you're the first Asian actor in the entire Pakistani film industry. Just the fact that you're in that setting and you put yourself, or you're presented in the sense as the romantically, an entire generation of Pakistani like women and men now see that
Yeah,
as something that's
yeah,
part of like, this is normal, this is he's just a regular Muslim guy, and it's like, what, we accept it. It's like we see it, we acknowledge that it's there, and like people, I think it's, if anything, just the fact that we're more out there
yeah,
is already enough to get a foot in the door and change some perspectives. So
for sure.
that's, yeah, that was definitely really really cool experience. I imagine that's a cool thing to
Oh,
see, for me to see
100%,
even. Yeah,
100%, 100%. Yeah.
that's great.
Um, yeah,
Uh,
I hope that I do and have influenced, the perception of or what, yeah, like these audience members to thinking that, oh, Asian guys,
Yeah,
Chinese guys can be sexy, can
cool.
be leading
oh
men.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, one country at a time.
Yeah,
There we go.
doing God's work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
The
Yeah,
Kent World Tour right now, man.
yeah.
You good with some word associations right now?
Sure.
All right.
All right. Josh, you want to go first on this one?
Sure, I'll go first. I always I try to stick with the same 10 just to see how people react to it. Okay,
So
so
phrase or a word. Phrase or a word. Anything that pops to my head, essentially.
yeah, anything that pops to your head, ideally probably just like the immediate word, but if it is a two worder, then hey, throw it out there. So clear your head, clear all that stuff we talked about, and we'll just start off with family.
Love.
Pineapple.
Express.
Nice. Rain.
Vancouver.
Alone.
Right now, I kind of feel, I don't know. Yeah, right now.
Motivation.
Uh, coming and going.
Hmm. Kumquat.
That's a fruit, right?
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
That's my first thought. That's a fruit, right?
I love it. Always confuses people a little bit.
Yeah.
Mountain.
Seymour.
Tightrope.
Mount Seymour. Oh, I watched The Walk the other day.
Oh.
With, Joseph
I
Gordon-Levitt.
love it. Yeah.
Yes, good movie.
Oh. Right. Satisfied.
Eating food.
Cheat days. It's those cheat days.
Yes.
And ending.
Ending. God, I want to see something extremely dirty.
There it is. Yeah, do it.
That's the sound.
Oh, the sound. So
the
onomatopoeia.
sound.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, you feeling loose again still?
Nope.
Kind of.
It's a little bit. All right,
Awesome.
there you go.
Let's do it.
Cool. First word, Beijing.
Home.
Film.
Career.
Switch.
TV show I did.
Space-time.
Space Time. Space Force, which so far isn't a great TV show. I've watched the first episode and I was like, nah.
It's got Jimmy Yang, Asian
Yeah.
comedian. There it
This
is.
is true. This is
That's
true.
fine.
Did he come in second episode? Maybe I haven't got into him.
Oh, I don't think he.
Oh
he
no, he's
doesn't
one of the
appear yet.
scientists. He's one of
Yeah.
the scientists. Yeah, he had. Okay, he had a brief scene so far. Yeah.
All right, Superman.
Myself. Come on,
Astronaut.
you primed me for that.
Yeah,
one.
that was really setting. That was
You primed me. Chris Hadfield. Chris
Nice.
Hadfield.
Got it.
Hadfield.
yeah.
Hatfield. Okay, astronaut
Hatfield.
Chris Hatfield.
Yeah.
Fathers.
Father's Day.
Strive.
My life.
Chile.
Chile. Commercial.
And Kent.
That's me.
That's your new catchphrase. Whenever someone says, "Hey, it's Kent," it's like, "Hey, Kent, that's me."
That's me.
Yeah.
Superman, that's me. All right, cool. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for listening to me talk about my life. And,
Awesome.
best of luck to you guys with the podcast. Yeah.
Thank
love
you.
Thank you.
Had a great time.
Where can people find you, and what are your handles?
Majority of the time it's just at Kent S. Leung. Honestly, I'm very Googleable. So
Yeah.
You are. You
Ooh,
really are.
Oh, you Google. Just Google.
Josh?
Cool.
Across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Josh Yang Comedy. Look me up there.
Awesome. And you can find me at Lucas John Ng on Instagram and on Facebook. And please follow us on Instagram, also HWMIY Podcast, and also find us on YouTube. And please subscribe to us because we do need that special URL once we get
Ooh,
100 subscribers, right?
Yeah, 100 subscribers. The big time, the big league. We made it.
Yeah.
At 100 subscribers, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But please subscribe. We made it.
Awesome. Give it up for Kent again. Thank you so much,
Yay.
brother.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All
Awesome.
right. Great.
All right.
We'll see you
See you
next